Hey, Lumi's friends and family. A lot of people have been asking me for stuff about money, and it's come up quite a bit. And I'm recording this mainly for my fellow Luminous community members. So let's get right into it. So the few topics I'm going to cover today are: what is the subtle frequency of money? How can we track it? What is the subtle frequency of money in our field? What are some common triggers that come up related to money, work, self-worth, karma, debt, abundance, all of that stuff? And then I'm going to go into some common Q&A. And then finally, because all of this stuff is very foundational, I'm going to walk you through a bit of a ritual. And my intent is to get in a bit of extraordinary mind. Even though this is a ritual I've done before and can recite it ordinarily, I'd like to do something unique and rich and true. And my intention is to keep this video under 20 minutes. This isn't like a 3-minute YouTube marketing thing. This is like substance. And I absolutely welcome your feedback. So let's just begin by aligning and asking our highest self to support us in receiving whatever we need for our growth and what would best serve our mission here in this incarnation on our path. And right away I felt something come up for a few people, that there's so many triggers around want and desire that we could say, oh, I want or I need $10,000 to do all these things, to go back to Luminous, to have a house, a car, food, pay off a debt. And this thought of, well, what if it's my highest good to live life at different numbers? So I want to work through shifting all of that stuff that just came up. So I'm by no means a master. This is something I just started about 1.5 years ago, and I've been blessed with a lineage that had some prosperity, not massive amounts. I'm not living in the lap of luxury, but I've always had enough financially. And even in the periods where I had massive debt, I was always okay, thanks to working with these forces. So the first thing that is right to come up with is this aspect of resistance related to self-worth and money. And this often comes up when we ask for a raise, or when we start a new venture, when we think about our income, whether in per hour, per month, per year, or per project. And I just like to offer, we can think for a second, what is your time worth per hour? If you've built an hourly rate, or if you have a full-time job, a lot of full-time jobs are 40 to 50 hours a week. In 50 work weeks a year, 2 weeks off for vacation, 40 hours a week is 2,000 hours a year. 50 hours a week is 2,500 hours a year. So if you really want to get into this and really start being a bit analytical, because money is an energy that works well with the analytical left brains that we are gifted with, you can pause this and just break down what your hourly rate is or has been acknowledged as, what people have paid you for an hour of your time. And just for simple math here across the board, I know this number is going to be higher and lower for everybody. We'll just work with the average salary in America is $50,000 a year, which breaks down to $25 an hour, just for really simple math. And whether you've made more or less than that, we'll just go with that because it's the average resonance of our country right now, just about. And so if you think about an hour's worth of your work, whatever your rate is, and we'll use the 25 for this illustration, just make the adjustments in your own mind. What do you put out and what's received? And if you've ever felt underpaid, do you feel like you're giving more than is coming in? So just think for a second, as you work, what energy are you putting out there? And why would you feel that maybe just enough or not enough is coming in? And is that possibly related to your ability to receive and hold this frequency of money, this echo of worth, of self-worth, of deservedness, of a true and equal and equivalent karmic exchange of value as expressed in the frequency of money? So something to explore. Now I feel for a lot of you, more resistance may come up if you think when we look at asking for a raise or the idea of doubling or tripling your income. And let's just take a number and go with it, because I'm getting that we should be more concrete. So let's say $100,000. That's a lot of money for most of us. That's a heck of a lot. That could change lives, or at least we think it's needed, or it would. And of course, there's many ways to change lives. So what would it take for you to get 100 grand? Would it take you working the number of hours times your hourly rate? Would it be just a manifestation and a shift? Or for a couple of us, would it mean, a deal, one deal? And just think for a second. There's rock stars in the world, and there's speakers in the world, and they could spend a few hours of their time, plus, of course, all the admin support and prep and recovery, but they go on stage, they do their thing, any person you admire and respect, and they could make millions of dollars a night, even after all their expenses covering, the venue and their staff and the merchandise costs, millions of dollars a night. What's the difference between them and us? It's not just skill, it's not just dedication, it's not just passion, it's not just luck in the ovarian lottery. It's their field can hold more. So getting into the subtle frequency of money, and we're going to do the protectors and stuff at the end. Let's get to the exciting stuff. How do we manifest 100 grand? Well, to do that, let's look at what it takes to manifest 10 bucks. So I have my altar here, which needs to be cleaned and organized a bit. And behind my altar and my statue of Lakshmi, who I have a very strong connection with. Here she is in this lovely little hologram thing. I keep an envelope of bills. And I drew some manifesting words, pentacles on there. Pentacles in the tarot deal with material wealth. And in here I have money. And I keep this money dedicated on my altar, thankfully my room is safe, to hold the charge. And now, if you can, it's best if it's a crisp bill from the bank, but if you can, you might want to pause this video, find any bill, even $1, a 5, a 10, a 20, 100, anything. And if you don't have a bill or a coin near you, just try to find something that's the closest representation to money. And if you want to do this exercise with me now to tap into the frequency, I invite you to pause it and get that. Okay, so out of this envelope, I'm just going to pull out one bill. And I like $100 bills because they represent wealth to a lot of people. And Benjamin Franklin was a really wonderful human being. If you haven't looked him up, his energy is imbued in this piece of paper and what it represents. But just with me right now, I'm going to stop talking for a minute and just start tracking your money that you're holding in your hand. Notice its signature. Notice its feel. Maybe focus on the space around the money. And if you don't have it handy or you haven't paused, you can use mine. You can track it through the video. And just notice its vibration. You may have a reaction to it. Maybe you want to step back and witness and let go of any thoughts or emotional energy or protectors and just notice them. And the exercise right now isn't to release those, it's just to notice the frequency of money. Now, if you can, focus on your own field, on your heart, on your head. How does the energy of money flow around you? And just if you can tell, if you can sense it. If not, you could do this a bit longer. Oh, just to make the distinction easy, think of the person you know who has the most money. It could be any individual living ideally. It could even be an organization if you know about organizational money and equity and stuff like that. But just think of the individual who has the most, or just a lot. And I'd say try to think of somebody who has more than $1 million. And if you don't know anybody on a close enough basis where they'd reply to your communication, think about either somebody close in your family or somebody you feel a strong connection with. I have a handful of role models in the room, and Sheryl Sandberg is kind of accessible in the Bay. Amma's pretty accessible in the Bay. The two, Wayne Dyer and MLK, have passed. But all of these individuals held a lot of money. Amma takes in millions a year. Sheryl Sandberg is a billionaire. We've got Mr. Elon there, and Over here we have Will Smith and we have Oprah. So just any person that you can resonate with, just try to track their field. What is it like? How rich, how strong is it? And if you really want to do this, you could pause each time I offer something and really try to track them. And now try to think of, and try to feel, try to track with realm or whatever your tracking is strongest with, the field of somebody who has the least money. You could think of a homeless person who's really disconnected from reality, not even hard to ask. Or you could even think of a homeless person asking for money and in that well of lack, but strong enough to be able to ask, feeling deserving enough to ask. Any person or organization you want to track, bankruptcy, anything. And stuff may come up here and just, again, witness, step back, and just, what is that like? And when I track the fields of different individuals, and I'm going to go with, who's the most neutral? I think Will Smith is the most neutral. So Will Smith, he's a great man. He's a celebrity. He's an actor. He worked his way up. And Will Smith clearly has millions of dollars. I haven't checked, but he has a lot of money. And I sense a robust, thick richness around his field. It's accessible, it's tangible, it surrounds him like many blankets. His money field is rich, about 30 to 35 feet out from his body. And it's strong, and it's also selective. Oprah's money field is pulling in money from all these different directions, some big, some small, but Will's is more selective. He really, really is selective. If you look at his biography about the roles he takes and how he performs and what he chooses to represent. And so he has fewer, but rich in substance, streams of money coming into his field. And Oprah has all these connections all over the place. She has all her products, she has all her licensing deals, all her advertising, and just all this stuff coming out. It's a bit chaotic, but the thing that the two of them have in common, they have a strong core. So now track yourself, track your core, and see if you can compare it to either of them or maybe the first individual who had a lot of money that you were thinking of. What's the difference between your core and theirs? And this is subtle. This isn't unity, because in unity, of course, all is one, and we'll get to awakened working with money, if not in this video, in the next. If at least 4 people ask for another video, I might just do it anyway. But what's the difference there? If you could track that. And then the homeless person or the person in lack and money together, the opposite of abundance. And I see when I track just an individual who's really in that space, it's like a black hole vortex. And the last module we talked about a black hole in the second chakra, not being able to feel, hold love, a leaky bucket. And just, I see like a black vortex in people, and a bit brown, and just, just a bottomless pit. No matter how much comes in, it's like the homeless person who wins the lottery and spends it all gambling in a night and is just as worse for wear the next day. But, probably even worse because of what happened in tasting that wealth briefly. So now that we've seen the extremes in the continuum, we see ourselves. Right now, let's manifest $10. We've all received $10 in our life. And it doesn't matter how much time or effort. And just, I offer for you, if you'd like to close your eyes and see, what would it take for you to receive $10? And it should come pretty easily. And if there's a lot of resistance, then I'll offer a few books for that. If it's hard to go on, and that might be so for a couple people, there's a book called Tapping into Wealth, which deals with emotional freedom technique and releasing money trauma. But hopefully you can go on. And as you visualize doing the work, or just even open receiving and allowing that $10, see how you feel as the energy of money comes into your being. See if you feel a sense of worth and deservedness or anything else, and just notice. Now this is the frequency of receiving the energy of money. We've all worked with receiving love. This is the frequency that you can use in your manifestation, whether it's $100,000 or another $10 or anywhere in between or above or below. This is the energy of, yes, I have received this money. And so if you really want to work on the ordinary and subtle mind with abundance, tapping into wealth dealt with releasing trauma, and I can guide in some of those exercises in future videos, the best book I've read so far is Tapping into Wealth by Esther Hicks, who did the original Law of Attraction, which the, in my opinion, pretty materialistic and shallow movie The Secret, still good, but not nearly as good as the original, came from. So the Law of Attraction with Money, Esther Hicks. I got the Audible version, and she speaks it in her own voice. And even if you like reading, when you listen to her voice, it carries more transmission. So I encourage you to even spend 15-20 minutes looking up some videos of Esther Hicks' Law of Attraction for Money. And I encourage you to seek it out. I could link those videos here, but in you seeking out and feeling deserving of that information, that knowledge, you are taking action to send information out into the world and desire and intent. I want more money. I am open to receiving more money. I would like more money. And then getting that extra support. Okay, and this is a lot, I know. So just a quick break. I'm just going to share a few of my own success stories. So about 2 years ago, I was really, really in a dark place. I was recovering from a nervous breakdown. I had 2 near-death experiences. I wasn't working. I was crushed. And I just needed this one consulting contract. I was still able to do coaching and consulting work, strategy business stuff from my entrepreneur days over the phone. And it was a contract worth about $68,000. It was a big contract. And it would have paid out about $2,800 a month, which is good money. And I had heard the answer was no. And I didn't have anything else going for me. And that really hurt. So I reached for this envelope, this very envelope. And you see it's a bit dirty. It's kind of old. I should get a new one. But this specific envelope means a lot to me. And it was up in my room. It was hidden. It's kind of emergency cash in case of earthquake or another 9/11 or anything like that. I believe it's always good to have emergency cash if you can afford it. And I'm like, whoa, this has money. This has frequency. So we're almost at 20 minutes, so I'm just going to go fast here. Actually, no, if more wants to come through, you can pause whenever you want. I'm going to share whatever's here. So I worked with Lady Lakshmi, even though the divine truly has no gender at the highest form, and it's just anthropomorphizing. And I did an 1.5-hour ritual where I essentially did what I walked you through in the beginning, and I used some money-drawing incense, and part of me thought it was hokey, part of me thought, I can believe this, and you can find this on Amazon, and I just drew forth the subtle energy of money from the field, like you can draw down love from the moon, or receive earth and root energy from Gaia into your root. And I just took that energy and I infused it into the incense sticks. And let me actually get a stick of this incense so you can kind of track with me. And hold on one second, I need to open a new package. And again, this is subtle. When I do money work right now, the rituals usually take about 5-10 minutes, and I don't often use props. I feel props are tools for the rational mind. So I do a mix of subtle and awakened. So I would take the subtle energy of money, infuse it into the incense, light the stick of incense, and use it a bit as a wand, allowing the physical particles of the incense burning to carry forth the money frequency out into the world. And I visualized and saw and knew, and this was actually realm bending, I didn't know at the time, as the incense smoke carried the transmuted, channeled energy of money into the smoke, into the material world, and was inhaled by individuals who I knew would be part of my path in receiving money, in shifting my frequency, my vibration. And I did quite a bit of it. I used about half the stick, and then I really infused it with love and put it in my incense holder to finish burning. And I'm actually going to light some now for you. And I'm going to say a quick prayer that this may be active in your field. May the forces of wealth and abundance be drawn to you through the actions of your fire, through your feeling of deserving and worth, through the grace of the goddess Lakshmi, and through your openness to receive. So I'm going to do a bit more work with that later, and that's just an offering for you. So, yeah, we can go a little bit more over. Just notice if you felt anything there. I felt something. That was a very short prayer, but just for a second, let's go back to the incense. What do you feel? And just in the interest of time, you can rewind and pause that and track that incense stick. But I really felt that manifestation take just now. And whatever your rational mind believes you will be receiving from that ritual, whether it's motivation to dollars with a number on them, I offer that to you. I'm getting that that's the end. So please, if you have any questions, let me know. I recorded this on video because a lot of people have, it's difficult to coordinate. Let me just finish that other story. So I did the ritual, and then 2 days later, I received a phone call that the contract actually went through, that the decision was reversed, and I received the first lump sum payment within a month. And 2 weeks later, I'm like, that was cool, I want to do it again. So I'm just going to be ordinary now and share some excitement and emotional resonance, because to go deep into subtle and awakened, you may have to clear a bunch of stuff, and so let's just work where we can work and talk frankly. I'm like, let me do this again, and let me see what can happen. And so I gave the next ritual about 20-25 minutes, didn't have any props, no crystals, no incense, no statues. I had my mantra, I had my memory of the last ritual, I had openness to transmit, and I had I had what was there. And I just did it strongly with conviction, and I worked on raising my net worth, increasing, strengthening my money field. And I had never had a net worth above $200,000. Far from it, actually. Even though I had built successful companies and that took in much more than that per year, I had never personally held that. Whenever I brought in money, I would always spend it or invest it, whether it was art or education or healing. And I thought, I want to grow my capacity. Just as we can grow a capacity to hold love, your net worth, the amount of money you hold to your name, whatever it is, positive or negative, is a reflection of your money field. And so I decided, I was open, and the number that came through was 250. I said, great. I am open to receiving whatever amounts for my money field to grow to 250K. My rational mind's goal is 200, and I have this thing, like, aim higher than where you want, because if you fall short a little bit, you still get it. It's like, if you aim for the stars, you may get the moon. If you aim for the moon, you may get the sky. If you aim for the sky, you may get the top of a building. And if you aim for the top of a building, you may get a doorknob. Who wants a doorknob? So let's shoot for the stars. And my current field frequency request is higher than that. But anyway, I did the ritual, and 2 weeks later, I barely knew who I met, and who I met in a great place with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of investors, a lot of love, a lot of just good energy. Actually, Richard Branson's island. This man, his name is Yoshi. He offered me a job at $200K a year, plus a bunch of bonuses. And I was like, whoa! And it was part US, part Japan, using all my skills, my ordinary mind skills, rational skills, and I was so happy and grateful. However, at a soul level, I knew, okay, I did this manifestation to kind of prove to myself, but my mission here is spiritual, and to go back to the entrepreneur venture capitalist world purely without a strong spiritual component. The job didn't feel right. So I actually let that opportunity go. And it was one of the hardest decisions I had to make. But it felt right. And just getting that offer within 2 weeks of the ritual was proof enough for me, or validation enough for me. And now, with my house, I rent out rooms for Airbnb all the time. If a room isn't full, I'll do a money ritual. And within a couple days, if not the same day, some people come in. I actually did a ritual for a specific type of housemate friend named Daniel. And within 3 days, I got 2 Daniels. And like very few other people. So this stuff is real, it works, it's fun, we can laugh about it, it's great, it's powerful, it's awesome. And the last thing I'll say is, as we give, so shall we receive. And this used to feel so weird with money, until one day I saw people at, I think, a lemonade stand, and I just felt their heart from across the street as I was biking. So I just biked up, it was a family selling like lemonade and cupcakes. I gave them $5. I said, I can feel the love in your heart. I just want to support you, whatever you're doing. I don't eat sugar, but this is for you. And, part of me wanted to give them my business card and all that stuff. And I thought, nope, this is purely giving. And didn't even share my name. And the husband reached out and shook my hand, and I could just feel their gratitude. And as I biked away, I just felt that I, received some abundance karma from that. And because we're all one, if you give, you really give to yourself. I'm not saying give an amount that would really affect your quality of life in a way that would be tough, but even symbolically $1 with the intent. And if you feel like you can't give $1, just have the intent of sending out abundance and love. And, it's all you, so it'll come back to you. And I actually encourage you to do this ritual. And if you really want to manifest $100,000 or any other amount, seriously, it's not hard. And I would offer to you once a week as a practice to offer $1 in whatever way, whether you credit card it to a charity, whether you have $1 for a homeless person, regardless, don't judge what they'll do with it, or you may have a friend who you may feel is in need, any amount of money. But I'd say for consistency of resonating with this energy and using an amount that won't trigger anything that's left, as long as you still have blocks to clear, and I still have blocks to clear. And make it you could make it a 10 to 15 minute ritual where you really feel an abundance of wealth, and you wish to share that. And whether you call this tithing or ritual or magic or money manifestation, whatever you choose to call it, that giving from abundance can do so much for you. And I realize we haven't gotten into abundance, but law of attraction with money does, and there's obviously a lot of material here. And if there's strong interest, I honestly could create a year-long curriculum with workshops based on this topic, and I'd like to. Not yet, but I'd like to. So please, any questions or thoughts, I would love them. All right, I wish you abundance. I wish you wealth. I wish you freedom from any limiting belief. I wish you freedom from debt. I wish for you the love to transmute any fear or lack in any way to love and abundance in all forms, not just material and money, but in all forms in your life. And I wish you success.